Hey guys, Eddie back with Couch Talk. Welcome back to the show. If it's your first time with us, as always, thank you for watching. And please hit like, please hit subscribe below. It's the only way that I will ever break into this industry with the algorithm. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up our Bill of Rights series with the big dog tonight, the ever powerful, the ever potent, the ever important 10th Amendment. Here we go. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states, respectively, or the people. And guys, if I had to point to one amendment that was abused more than any other, one amendment upon which greater disagreement has not been found, it is this one right here. And this amendment is really, if you think about it, the crux of the difference of opinions between the two parties in our two-party system. Because one party, in my opinion, at least makes the attempt of respecting this amendment, and the other does not. And I hate to say it like that because I'm really not a partisan guy, but I do find myself aligned with the Constitution, and it just so happens that when it comes to the Constitution, the Republicans have gotten this amendment right, historically. So I'm going to lay out for you what the federal government is actually responsible for. They're supposed to make laws, and more importantly, federal laws. Laws that actually need to be 100% across the board. Things that need to go in the Constitution, amendments like that, things that need to be covered in every single state, no matter what the state is, no matter what their philosophy is, the base, bare bones of the legal system across the board. They have to make laws. They have to enforce them. They're supposed to be in charge of national defense and national security. What that means is they keep a standing army, they keep a standing navy. It labels the president as commander-in-chief of these forces, and it requires us to have the internal forces that protect us against domestic threats. So threats foreign, threats domestic, we need to have national security taken care of. So that covers bodies like the FBI, U.S. Marshals. There's a bunch of them, but, to be honest with you, I think that many of them actually aren't quite necessary. I think they could be, kind of put in the domain of the FBI, like the CIA, the NSA. I'm not sure why we have different agencies for all these different things when we could basically lump them all into one thing. I think it would be more efficient that way. But as such, those are necessary for the national security of our nation. It is the federal government's job to levy taxes for the purposes of these items. It is their job to facilitate international and interstate trade, right? So that would be imports and exports, tariffs, things of that nature. It would also be in charge of foreign policy, how we treat other nations as ambassadorial function for the United States. And that's it. That's it. Believe it or not, that is all that the federal government is supposed to be responsible for. Not because it can't do other things. Of course, the federal government could do everything, right? But the rest of the things that you're thinking that the government's supposed to do, if it's not on that list, the states can do it, right? So let's think about things that people would normally think of as a federal government's responsibility. Social Security. The states can do it. Medicaid, Medicare. The states can do it. Obamacare, healthcare. The states can do it. Anytime anything could be done by the states, this amendment mandates that they are. And it's just that simple. I know it seems like sometimes that it would be more efficient if it was done by the federal government. I can promise you that is almost never the case. Never the case. This amendment guides almost everything that you could possibly imagine the government taking care of. Really, what's crazy is right now our federal taxes are, we give I think, for most people, they give the largest portion in federal income tax, and then they give the second largest portion in Social Security, which is just another income tax. It's just another tax for the federal government, which I don't know why they call it a payroll deduction instead. It's just another tax. I don't understand why it's important to deceive the American people by trying to call it something other than what it is. It's a tax. Then the third biggest item that they pay for usually is the state tax. But it shouldn't be. The state tax should actually be bigger than the federal tax because the states are supposed to do more than the federal government. Not only that, it's important to note that you can't solve every problem in the nation at the federal level because every two people are different. Every two communities are different. Every two cultures are different. And it is likelier that people will have more similarities the closer you get to the local government, the closer you get to the local community. So there are laws that will make sense at the local level that will only make sense to that group of people at the local level. As you extend out and you get bigger and bigger groups of people, more diverse groups of people, which is a great thing, but there are less laws that should apply to everyone because those cultures encompass different bodies. They encompass different facets and features that are not going to be held similar throughout. And so as you get bigger and bigger, you should have less and less constraints on the American public. As you get smaller and smaller, that's where most of the governing should take place. And our founding fathers knew this, and they knew why it was so incredibly important that we govern at the local levels, because number one, the local levels are almost always more efficient. It's almost always more efficient. There's almost always less bureaucracy, less gobbledygook that bogs everything down. This amendment is so incredibly important, so incredibly powerful, and so blatantly disregarded all the time. And I pray that we get back to utilizing this amendment. I pray that we respect that the founding fathers foresaw that as the bigger government at the federal level gets, the more tyrannical it can get. And the whole Revolutionary War happened because there was a huge, big federal government that was trying to oppress local governments that could have governed themselves just fine on their own. But that federal government wanted all that control. And that is precisely why we had the Revolutionary War last time. It will be why we have a Revolutionary War again if we don't recover the substance of this amendment. That's what I got for you guys. That's the big difference. That's in every situation. There's almost always, we almost always want the same things. Like take Social Security, for example. I don't want old people to just die. I don't want to shove Granny off a cliff. I just don't want the federal government doing it. I want the local governments to take it. Matter of fact, I want charities to take care of it, really. I don't even want the government involved because charities are by far and away the most efficient resource that we can use to assist the elderly in our society. Now, there are cases where where local charities will not suffice. And when that happens, I think city-level governments, county-level governments, and occasionally a fail-safe, perhaps at the state level, should accomplish what the local charities cannot. But for almost every situation, we want the same things. It's just the better you get is the more local you get. And we need to remember that. I'll catch you guys next time on Couch Talk. Let me know what you guys think below. I welcome any comments. I welcome any challenges to this. I challenge you to find me a situation where the federal government doesn't have to do it, but would do it better. And show me how. Show me some documentation. I'd love to look at it. I'll catch you guys next time on Couch Talk.